moving on to the big game in the Premier League here. So Liverpool versus Manchester City. And look, you'd probably be surprised at some of these prices at the start of the season, given people were tipping up Liverpool for the Premier League. But they're currently 4.2 at home to Manchester City as we record on Thursday morning. City are 1.88, the draw available at 4.2. Both teams to score, again, another low price at 1.51. Yes, the handicap sees Liverpool getting just so you come up on the screen, a 3/4 goal start at 1.88, and the goal line is 3.25 goals, slightly shaded towards the over at 1.95. So, Mark, we'll go to you on this one versus Liverpool and Man City. Firstly, where are you at with these prices? I guess like sometimes markets can overreact, sometimes they underreact. Have they got it about right here on the match odds? Firstly, going into this game,
I think so. I've got an expected model I run through prices with, which kind of gives me a nice kind of base price to work from. And I have Man City coming in at 1.8, and they've actually drifted overnight since Liverpool's match against Rangers, really, which might surprise a few. I don't think thrashing Rangers and sort of running riot in the second half is going to sort of significantly change my opinion on their chances against Manchester City this weekend. But it's a shame this match is kind of taking place when it is, really, because it's normally kind of a mammoth title deciding showdown, even if it is taking place at this kind of start of the season, or feels like near the start of the season. But there's 13 points between the two, so even if Liverpool do win this, it's still a tall order to sort of reel City back in, or even Arsenal. But we've seen them do similar in past campaigns, including last year. So who knows, really? But yeah, Liverpool I just don't know where they're at right now. It's hard to sort of pinpoint what's going wrong, or you can kind of come up with suggestions. But for me, the biggest alarming fact is that they do just keep conceding the opening goal. Did it last weekend, did it again midweek at Rangers. There's just no sort of defence for it, really. They've conceded 3 goals or more in consecutive Premier League games. They've conceded multiple goals in half of their 8 Premier League games. I was a little bit surprised with the team that Klopp selected against Arsenal last weekend. Basically the same as what he did against Rangers, almost trying to go all-out attack with 4 forwards, and I thought it exposed the middle of the team. When Arsenal beat the press, so it was very difficult for Liverpool, really. They lacked the mobility in that midfield area to sort of provide protection for the likes of Trent, who was again sort of exposed by Martinelli and the rest of the back four too, who really shouldn't be kind of adverse from criticism either, particularly Van Dijk, who's been appalling. I know Salah come off the bench and made a massive impact midweek, but he had next to no impact either, or influence against Arsenal. So concerning stuff, and defensively too, you're missing Trent, you're missing Matip here. So you're going to have Joe Gomez at right back, Andy Robertson probably back in the squad and available, but Diaz, who I think has probably been the most consistent performer, is absent as well. So Liverpool are quite a way off their best 11 and quite a way off knowing what exactly their plan and approach is right now. Klopp doesn't seem to be having the answers to the questions that are being thrown up. But I guess the obvious caveat to opposing Liverpool here is Anfield, underdogs, everyone's against them, big price. They tend to come out firing and fighting. So, but City have the rest advantage. City had the easier midweek task, able to rest and rotate. No more new injuries. All the attention is on Haaland, but Foden's been just as mesmeric. And then you've got the likes of Bernardo and Grealish and Mahrez, even Gundogan. So many ways to hurt a team, especially a Liverpool team who are looking so vulnerable defensively right now. So I think it's very difficult for me not to look towards City here. They've scored first in 8 of 9 Premier League games. Liverpool have conceded first in 10 of the last 12. If City score first, we know the story. We've seen it before. They squeeze the life out of you. They control matches, and they're able to sort of play to exactly how they want to under Pep Guardiola. So I'm going to be pro City here. I think the price, as I say, is fine, but you can add over 1.5 goals into the mix and rule out the 1-0 away win, which gives us, it's actually been on a little bit of a drift overnight. So it's 2.08, I believe, now. Does really appeal. As you say, the goal line is favouring the overs at 3.25. So if the market's expecting almost 4 goals, I think it's not a huge ask to just chuck in over 1.5 goals if you are pro City. Overall, these two teams have played 17 Premier League games this season. 13 of those have actually featured 3 or more goals. We're just requiring 2 in a City win.
Yeah, some good case there, and the lads have had some great success combining the match result and total goals. You can find that in other markets on matchbook.com. Adrian, I want to throw a stat at you because I saw the stat last night going, I bet you Adrian might have had this on his stat pack here, but 51.4% of all Liverpool's goals this season have come against Bournemouth and Rangers.
I didn't actually, which is is amazing, isn't it? That is a good stat. I still don't have that many qualms about Liverpool's attack. I know that they're depleted, but even though Salah was terrible at Emirates Stadium, but he will be lifted by that hat-trick. Jota got a hat-trick of assists. I thought Darwin Núñez actually was really dangerous in the game against Arsenal, as was Firmino, who's in good form this season. So they've actually got enough going forward, I think, to maybe score in this game and to give City problems. I'm fascinated to see what Klopp does. I mean, to go 4-4-2 against Rangers is fine. To try it against Arsenal was a big old risk, and it definitely backfired. Is he really going to go 4-4-2 against Manchester City in this game? If he does, then we could get fireworks. We could get an awful lot of goals because they're not good enough defensively at the moment without the ball, Liverpool, to cope with City's three-man midfield. And this is a special City team. I think it's easy to forget. You get a little bit blasé about them winning most weeks and whatnot. And and the fact that they're not top of the league at the moment as well maybe downplays their excellence. But they've lost one of their last 37 Premier League games. So put that over one season, and they're almost invincible. Away from home, they're on the fourth longest unbeaten run in Premier League history, 22 games. So it's a long, long time since they were beaten on the road. I think both teams' score is obviously short for good reason. 9 of their last 10 meetings, Liverpool and Manchester City have produced both teams to score. So that is fairly likely. But the thing is, City have scored multiple goals against a Liverpool team that was miles better than this current Liverpool team. So I don't see any reason why that's going to change. It's just, what can Liverpool produce in return? So yeah, I'm with Mark. If Liverpool start slowly again, it could get a little bit messy. But I do think that they're capable of scoring. As I said, Núñez and Firmino are in good form. Salah and Jota contributed in midweek. And the other stat to throw at you is Liverpool are, even though they've been brilliant, we know that they've been brilliant over the last few seasons, they're actually winless against City in the last 5 meetings. So again, a very good Liverpool team still hasn't been able to beat City for quite a long time. Do we really think they're gonna beat them this time based on the form book? I'm not so sure. So yeah, I'm the same as Mark. Got to back City here, but I'll pair it with both teams to score, and you get quite juicy odds actually. 3.15 was last time I looked.
Yeah, 3.1 we have it here, so that's a pretty decent price. It'll be hard, Miguel, to talk me off that cliff. But it's interesting that what Adrian says there. You just assume Liverpool have always beaten City at Anfield, or at least. So I found that stat, having won in the last 5, amazing. But yeah, going into this game, set the scene, going into Anfield, like I mentioned the match odds. Is there any case to be made for Liverpool at over 3-1?
Well, I mean, that perception, I suppose, that they had beaten them, it comes from that period in 2017-19 where actually City kept losing to Liverpool, and it felt like Klopp had the number over them. Obviously, actually, both teams have changed stylistically a lot since then. City maybe only really drastically, or not drastically, but only really in any sort of significant way in the last year, obviously, with the shift towards Erling Haaland. And I think it's why goals are obvious. Liverpool can't properly defend at the moment. City, partly because of how they use Haaland, are a bit more stretched as a team, which means they're scoring a lot more goals, but they're also conceding more, which is why I think goals are a good bet. As regards the actual result, and I suppose why two of us have gone for Manchester City to win, I think with these sort of games, I mean, there is a little bit of a kind of trend in football where when it comes to these, two of the top sides meeting in a match where one has been in awful form and one has been in imperious form, suddenly it can often build up into something where on the day itself it just goes in the reverse. And I'm thinking of countless examples. The one that comes to mind most prominently actually is in 2005 when Manchester United in crisis, Roy Keane having had his famous tape but to leave the club, and Chelsea having been unbeaten, I think, at the start of that season, and United beat them 1-0. That can happen so often. But those sort of, another, I suppose, United against the Invincibles, but all those sorts of performances tend to come when the side who's on worse form basically just adapts to the opposition, digs in, and kind of plays almost, you'd almost call it kind of a classic Jose Mourinho approach. And this is one of the things with Liverpool. I mean, we don't really know what Klopp's system is at the moment in any case. And Adrian has a good point there about the 4-2-4. I mean, on reflection now, the fact he played that midfield against Arsenal is actually staggering. No holding midfielder. But secondly, whatever approach Klopp plays, you just know it's not going to be something like this that can potentially frustrate City, which means there's going to be goals there. And if that plays out, basically Liverpool, if he plays any sort of game where they take City on their own terms, which has generally been Klopp's approach since he's kind of evolved from gegenpressing early on in his Liverpool career, then you just fancy Liverpool to outscore fancy City to outscore Liverpool when it comes right down to it, and hence I've gone for a City win and a fair few goals.
Yeah, City over 2.5, 2.44. So it's rare that Adrian has the biggest price, but I think given it's a big game, people will be watching looking for a fun bet. I think City and both teams to score is a fun one to cheer on there. So that's a decent